Today let's do a Tunisian cast on onto our kiss loom. This is an ordinary crochet hook seemingly, but what makes it a Tunisian hook is it has a stopper on the end. It could also be a head about this long on a long sturdy wire or strand of anything with a stopper on the end. That style is so that you can get lots and lots of stitches on it. I don't need it for today's experiment. I just need you to understand that those are the same thing and either one can be used. So if you're casting on a blanket, you want the other style with the long string. If you're just doing a few stitches, as I will today, the classic hook is fine. Mine is bamboo, but it doesn't matter. This is a 5mm hook, otherwise known as 8 or H, depending on where you are in the world. The important thing for you to realize is that for this project, we're using a size that you would ordinarily match up to this yarn. This is worsted weight number 4 in the United States yarn. 5 would be one of the ways that we might knit or crochet it. You might also use 4.5mm or even 5.5 depending on the effect you want. But this will be fine. I've started with a loop knotted into the yarn, which is typical. And now for each stitch we want, we're going to make a chain stitch in the ordinary time-honored crochet method. So I've made 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know how to do that. Now here comes the unusual feature of this cast on. Each of these chains will form the bottom edge. Each of these chain stitches will appear at the bottom edge of the fabric, except this one. This is stitch number 1. So the chain stitch I'm tapping with my left thumb will be the first bottom stitch, and this will be the first knit stitch. So now we work into each chain, pulling up a loop. And what's going to happen is we're going to end up with the same 10 stitches that I counted off. It's a net zero game because I started with a loop that I didn't count, and then I worked into this stitch, or well, I turned this stitch up, meaning that this became stitch 1. So even though I only made 10 loops and I used one up, 10 chain stitches, you might think I'd have 9 if you forgot that I started with a loop already on the hook. See, 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's what we want. And actually, the job of the crochet hook is done now. At this point, we want to put this piece of work onto the loom. You need to start with the last stitch made, work it to the end, lift it off with the loom hook, and on to the first peg. I twisted that by accident. It can happen if you're not paying attention, and we don't want it. See it smoothly joining now? I'll show you that again in a minute. On the kiss loom, we do need to work from the pin side so that the chain stitch that we made will end up on that side. That will get us off to a good start knitting. This is correct. I'm going to show you the twist that would be incorrect. Wrong. I suppose there might be a reason that you would sometime want to do that as a style feature, but in general, we want to go on straight. Try to work the crochet hook out of one stitch at a time. or perfect a technique of lifting right off of the hook onto the loom hook, off of the crochet hook onto the loom hook. Either one is fine. And I think you can see now why I would have selected the 5mm hook, not the smallest hook that I could possibly use, because I need for the loops to stretch past the pin without strain. And this is making a nice firm but not sloppy edge, so that's just right. And here's my last one. Now just set the Tunisian hook aside. Here's my yarn supply, and I'll start knitting normally. It's very easy to start from here because you have complete settled stitches already on the loom. I will do a few rows of the normal Kiss U-stitch and then take it off, and you will be able to see why I like the effect so much. It's not very different from any other version of crocheted cast on, but it is a little bit different. And you may find it easier than some ways of doing this. And for that row, I was holding the loom so that I'm over here, of course, so that my pins were towards me. But more typically, I hold my loom so that my pegs are towards me, and that's fine now. As soon as you've got everything set up where you can control it, you can knit normally. Here we go, several rows knitted, and you can see the initial chain stitch right at the bottom of the knitting, which is a little bit different than chain stitching onto the loom produces. It also, because of the way we worked into it, doesn't really look like a pure chain stitch. And here is the knit side. But I'm going to get this off so you can look at it. Just FYI, this is the kind of cord that might be on a Tunisian hook if you had the kind that has a stopper at the end of a cord. I don't have a Tunisian hook the right size for this loom. Well, not one of the ones with a cord. However, this is a circular needle, and as you can see, it's a fantastic way to get the work off the loom if you need it to come off. Also, you may want to know that there is such a thing as a Tunisian bind-off. That's demonstrated in my bulky cable blanket video series, the last video, I think. So there's what you get with the Tunisian cast on. It's very, very neat and possible to make it so it exactly aligns with the width of the fabric. And that's why I like it.